At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Yeah, this voicemail is for Jared. This is Steven. And I normally always leave voicemails because he never picks up his phone. He's very bad at it. So I just want to let him know that the podcast last week was a little, the compression wasn't there. It was a little raw for my liking. I'm going to have to fix it like everything else. So I just want to let you know because, this is a very real voicemail. So there's that. Bye.
I liked waking up to or seeing you. Did you not add compression?
Well, yeah, I had to text you first thing. Hold on. I had to call you that real voicemail that I left and let you know that the compression was definitely not on because I was on my way into work and all I hear when I turn on the podcast is like super low volume Jared talking the entire time. I had to go all the way up to max volume for it to be at a decent volume. And then I went to another podcast. I'm like, this just sounds really low and it just sounds odd. I can hear plosives and stuff like that. So I went to another podcast and my speakers nearly friggin' blew out at that point. And that's when I let you know, like, you definitely did not put the compression on. You just basically file saved as raw audio and put it up.
I wasn't aware. I mean, it's been like 2 years since I've done exporting on my own.
I was going to say, you've always done it on your own when you did Daily Fro for years. So I assumed you just did it and I didn't have to, spell it out for you. But I get it. You haven't done it in a long time. So it makes sense. You just forgot.
Well, when we started doing RAWtalk, I had to export things differently. And so I got used to the double click, save as... and not the export as a multi-track mix down.
Yeah, because you basically file save as a raw wave file, send it my way, I compress it on my end. I have a special effects rack that I use, and like I said, it usually gets rid of plosives, it compresses everything, normalizes everything, and really brings it up to the correct volume. And yeah, you just basically put up raw audio. So I caught it pretty early. It was like 8 a.m. Friday morning, and I replaced it almost immediately, but I realized that if you have like Apple Podcasts or any type of podcast software that auto downloads the file itself and you listen to it 4 days later, you're listening to the original raw audio and not the replaced file that I replaced after the fact, so unless you're streaming it.
Well, yeah, it sounds like you need to delete that file and then download the new file or stream it. I had no idea. I thought I did the right thing. I wasn't even thinking about, I thought my compression was automatically added when I exported it.
It's not a big deal. I'm sure only a handful of people heard it that way. I saw like 2 texts come in. Someone was like, don't ever do a podcast without Steven, I can tell. I'm like, yeah, but you just simply forgot to put the compression on. That's all. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, it would have sounded fine. I mean, I just didn't know. It's been so long since I've done that, and I saved as instead of exported as a multi-track, and that was it.
All good.
Oh, well. Anyway, I'm sitting in a new echo chamber at the new place in my corner, and it sounds like at the new studio, which if you saw the video, we did a vlog of us moving. Actually, we did a vlog of us packing, and then I showcased the first floor, second floor, and basement over at the new place, and Friday was when we moved.
I do wish we got more of the actual packing in the vlog. I think we only had the editing suite area packed up. I don't think the rest of the studio space was actually packed up, so there was still a bunch of sets set up and all of that. But it was a monumental task to pack all of that stuff. It was brutal.
Yeah, I'm a really good packer. I'm just going to say that. I'm very focused on
that's a funny
packing.
joke, Jared.
When Steven's like, you need to do this, I'm like, yeah. And then I still didn't do it.
So we spent, 3-4 days packing, probably, something like that?
Yeah.
Give or take. The one task I wanted you to do was to focus on your printer section for like 2 days straight. I'm like, all you have to do is just this corner. This is all your stuff. Just pack it up. Do whatever you want with it. I'm not going to touch it. Meanwhile, I'm packing up all of the gear, all of the sets, everything else, all of the camera gear, whatever. By the end of the day, every day I come over and like nothing has changed. You would put like 2 things in a box and then squirrel, go to do something else. I'm like, Jared, focus right here, pack it up. And then what happened was by the time they came on Friday, you still didn't finish packing your desk setup.
It was my main desk. I was going to leave my desk to last because I had to take everything over here.
And I let you know Thursday afternoon, I'm like, they're going to be here like first thing in the morning. It's going to be a clusterfuck. Like, I don't want to be scrambling trying to pack up your desk. And that's almost exactly what happened. They came Friday morning and you're like still trying to pack up everything. And
I was just starting to break down those things that I needed, like the all of my external Focusrite and the dock and my Lacy 6 big, right? I was breaking everything down.
Everything
and
on
they
your
showed
desk.
up.
Yeah.
Right. So with packing, I'm not a great packer because I'll just throw everything in a box and not label it. But I did do some labels.
Well,
I did do labels.
You did pretty good with labeling for the most part, but I noticed shipping, the whole merchandise area that we have, which is like a separate part of the building that most people don't see. It's usually off camera. There's a lot of random stuff that we just don't use in there anymore. A lot of old t-shirts, a lot of old shipping material, stuff like that. I noticed all of those boxes, we literally, or you must have just literally threw everything in a box, didn't label it, and gave it to the guys to move because when
they were
would
already
come,
in boxes.
Not all of them, not everything. Because they would come to the new place with that box, and I had to open everyone up to realize what was in it because I'm trying to direct them, like which floor to go on and blah, 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 and where to place the boxes. So that was a little bit of a mess. But besides that, everything was pretty much labeled. I actually thought you did a decent job with that.
Well, let's break down the move itself because the move is a whole different thing. We don't have a lot. And anyway, this is RAWtalk 63. Shit, where's my note, Steven, which tells me what the phone number is? Fuck. That's not right where it used to be. It's in another bag.
For those that don't know, Jared has had like a little sticky note for the longest time right next to his desk that had the phone number. It's not a sticky note. What is it?
It's a from the desk of Frono's photo note.
Excuse me. It's a different pad of paper. It's not
sticky.
It's a piece of paper with a note on it. Let's just say that. Jesus.
Yeah, it is. And it's the phone number to text us. 313 fucking raw something. I'll get it while you're talking. I'll go get it at some point. But yeah, there's not a ton of photo news to really catch up on right now. It's a slow period going on in the summer because they're all away.
Thankfully, because it's pretty chaotic at work right now.
We do. We have a lot. We have a lot to do before Steven's out in the next couple of weeks. We are going to talk about a SanDisk issue with that's going around with some of their SSDs that I think everybody needs to be aware of. We're going to go into detail about that. Talk about some FOMO stuff that I have because I always have FOMO and FOMO fucking sucks. But the main thing to talk about today is the move. And so look, we had 7 years worth of stuff at the factory. When we first moved into the factory, it was move one thing at a time from my house to the other place. And I had big boxes that I moved all my little office at my house from into the old place.
And if you recall, I don't think we were fully set up at the factory for like a good year because like you said, we did one little thing at a time and then eventually we did one big move, but that big move maybe filled up like a small U-Haul or something like that. I don't recall. It wasn't that much stuff because I can visually...
not a U-Haul.
Okay, well I can visually a moving truck of some sort.
A truck.
Yeah, you're so literal. I can visually remember everything on the floor at the loft, and it really was not that much stuff. There was a couple C-stands. At that point, we had maybe like 3-4 lights. We didn't have much camera equipment at all, maybe 3-4 cameras, if that, and really just your personal Nikon equipment. Yeah, there was not that much stuff, but it still did take us a while because we pretty much threw everything on the first floor at the factory, called it a day, and then slowly, made set by set. And I think over the time of the period of like a year or two, we really got that place fully up and running. Now, this time around, it was a totally different story. Much more gear.
The crazy thing is when we moved into the other place, we didn't even plan on using where the Photo News Fix set was.
Yep.
Right? That we never even used for a long time. And then we ended up building 3 sets in there.
I think we honestly got that building mainly for like the podcast, right?
Well, I mean, I got the building because we just thought it was a good time to invest in another place and have an actual dedicated studio.
But the biggest thing was we would constantly break down and set up RAWtalk every single week, which was a huge task and took a ton of extra time just to, again, break down, set up, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we wanted just a new, fresh space to have permanently set up sets. But yeah, we did not plan on utilizing that entire building like we did.
So with the move, I reached out to a couple of different moving companies. One ignored me, totally didn't even get in touch with me. Actually, 2 of them didn't even get in touch with me.
Wow.
Yeah, the company that we used, I'll just tell you, is Olympia. I think they have subsidiaries around all over. This is not a plug for them. I'm just letting you know who I used. They originally were going to send 2 trucks. Now, the weird thing is the new studio isn't far from the old studio. And I would think that as a moving company, you would probably look at Google Maps to see how far something is and to see if your trucks can actually fit in a city down a side street. So that first they were going to send 2 trucks with 2 drivers and like 4 people to do the moving. And so that's what we were prepared for. Then at 8 a.m. Friday, right on time, I get outside because Steven's like, there's a truck out front. So there's one truck, and then there was a van that they parked, and there were like 800 guys that got out of the van.
A small army, literally.
It was like a clown car, and it was just, it was 5 Russians,
these are big
2
guys,
white guys,
real big guys,
a couple of black guys. There may have been a Mexican guy. Like, it was like
a very diverse van.
It was the United Nations of moving people, and I was like, holy shit, there's 10 guys. And then the first thing that the main guy, the foreman, was like, this is not going to take 4.5. Like, this is going to be a huge job. This is going to take a lot of time. But Steven and I made it a point to get like certain floors situated. Like, all the stuff was in one area.
Yep.
So in this area, we had all of the stuff that was from upstairs. In this area, we had all the photo news fix stuff, and that's going to go here. In this area, we had all the C-stands and lights that needed to go. And these guys just started. They started to go. And I showed the guy the new place. They'd never used the truck. The truck didn't get one. Actually, the truck got the pinball machine when they wanted to move that down the street a little bit. But nothing was put in the truck at all. They ended up rolling everything around the corner to the new place.
They had these commercial giant cardboard bins on these pallet rollers. And I mean, these things were industrial size. They could really take some serious abuse. You can tell they've been through the gauntlet. But yeah, they would roll it over, or they would literally put something on their back and walk it over. And we're not talking, it's not crazy far. It's only a block or two away from the current factory. You can almost throw a rock at the house. That's how close it is.
Dude, I could throw a ball from here to the old place because, have you seen my arm?
But still, that's just so much to physically walk it over or roll it over. I mean, that's a lot of work for these guys.
But it made the most sense so that they didn't have to pack a truck, to drive a truck, to unpack a truck. What would happen is there would be like 2 or 3 guys at the old studio loading up these bins, rolling them out to the sidewalk, lining them up, and then the 7 guys would come by and they would start a train down the street.
A giant assembly line. So before we get too deep into it, I just want to say we were trying to figure out, me and you were trying to figure out a plan. Like, okay, it's just the 2 of us. Like, one of us has to be at the new place, one of us has to be at the factory to kind of direct these guys. Plus, you still had, again, pack up your desk and a few other odds and ends. And I think the basement still had to be figured out. There was still some miscellaneous stuff and shipping that had to be figured out.
Yeah.
There was still stuff that was not packed fully. So I basically was like, Jared, you should hang out here. I'm going to go to the new place. I'll try and direct them. I knew generally where we were going to have everything. Upstairs, for example, the second floor is going to be the studio space where we're filming most of the content. A lot of the sets are going to be up there. So most of the stuff was going on the second floor. First floor was going to be more like your desk setup, office space, printer section, that kind of stuff. Basement was shipping, long-term storage, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that was the biggest hurdle to figure out in the beginning was how are we going to figure out, where everything goes. One person stay here, the other person go there, and then we'll try and direct from there.
Well, we ended up calling in Dan. Dan was on call.
So yeah, they started this giant assembly line, and once they started going, it was nonstop. I'm talking like box after box, guy after guy walking into the new place, asking where does stuff go. Now keep in mind, these guys were Russian, and they spoke very broken English. I had to do a lot of like directing with my hand, second floor pointing up, basement pointing down, whatever, because I would try and explain like where certain things go, back corner, right corner, wherever it may be, and they definitely weren't understanding me fully, which is fine, but it made my task a lot more difficult to kind of tell them, again, in a quick manner, like this goes there, that goes there. That started happening. It was chaos. It was controlled chaos for the most part, but I hit you up right away. I'm like, I need some reinforcements, man. I think we need to call in Dan. And thankfully, Dan got there. He went upstairs, and I kind of directed them upstairs, and I told him, organize from there, look at the box, everything's written, audio accessories, camera accessories, whatever it may be. And he kind of went from there, organizing everything in a certain section. Like all the light stands go here, all of that goes here. So when we came to unpack, it made things a lot easier knowing where certain boxes were.
Yeah, what I'll say is the moving company, when they initially quoted me, they were kind of in the over $3,000 range because they quoted me like 8 hours. And I'm like, guys, this isn't going to be an 8-hour move. I just don't feel like it's an 8-hour move.
I think if it was the original 3-4 guys that they signed on, I think it would have been easily 8 hours.
Could have been, but thankfully they did bring 10 people. It ended up being under 4 hours that they did the move. It ended up taking Steven and I longer on Monday to move like a couple of things. It took us 4 hours in the morning, but we had to break down the servers. We had to take down a bunch of different stuff. But
it was just a lot of tiny little things, a lot of small accessories, stuff like that we had to pack away and figure out what goes where. So that's what took us so long. That's the pain in the ass part about moving, is all of these small things, all the details. It's the big stuff that's not a problem.
All the small things. Truth hurts. 1 week after listening to Blink 182. 2 weeks after listening to Blink 182. One month after listening to Blink 182. Who are you? And I'm so lonely. And butchering
those lyrics.
Night. I don't know. In my yed.
It's not head, it's yed with a Y.
Yed. Yeah, I never really got into Blink 182. I thought it was some really terrible music back in the day.
I love me some Blink. I do.
But you were young. You were much younger. So that was
even
more
now,
like,
I still jam out to some Blink.
You know what I've been listening to is while we were moving, I set up there's the Sony boombox that is pretty good. And I put on one song and I kept it on repeat because it was great to be in the background.
What did I say yesterday?
Park.
I was like, I have never heard this song before.
Which song is it?
Like
Linkin
30
Park?
times in one day. It's like Shadow of the Night or Day.
Shadow of the day
That's
of the
it, yeah.
night. In the shadow of the night. It's just really good melody.
I think it was on their Minutes to Midnight, like their third album, if I recall, the black and white album cover.
I was never into the Linkin Park back in the day either. I did photograph them. That was a huge show when I shot that. Shadow of the Day. I just really, really, really love that song, and it was great to have on in the background.
You can always tell when Jared really likes a song because he literally plays it over and over and over again until you hate the song.
It just helps. It helps me focus. It's just a weird thing with my brain that a repetitive song like that just helps me focus.
And that's why I think you like instrumental music, like Explosions in the Sky and stuff like that.
I do. So anyway, back to the move. 10 guys, and these guys were strong. I mean, they would put things on their back and go up the stairs, the things that I can't pick up. And then the one guy would just lift it and be like, where do you want it?
They would put things on their shoulder that me and you could barely lift with the two of us. It was insane. These guys were so damn strong. And even the small guys that were like my size, they would be putting crazy stuff on their back. I just couldn't imagine the physical pain they end up with at the end of the day. I mean, especially if they're doing this every single day of the week. Brutal.
It's not easy, but I will say they were super organized.
They were.
No one complained. No one had major issues. We can't find something that we need to do a sponsored video on, though.
We can't find one
thing. We don't know
really
where the Zhuin light is, that light that I did a quick video on as a reel on Instagram. We can't find the freaking box for it.
And it should be an easy box because it's literally in the manufacturer box with the picture of the item on the front.
No, it's not in the box. It's in the Zhuin. It's just, we were looking for the case.
No. I put it in the box next to your desk.
You did?
Yes. Because the box was right next to the case, so I put it in the box.
I didn't. Well, there's no way I would throw that out,
No,
right?
it was not light. You would know that there was something in there.
No, Steven, it was a light. Hey-oh! Yeah!
Oh, man.
Hey-oh! Oh, that's what it is. Hey-oh!
The only thing with the movers is that we had, again, everything pretty well organized, but there was definitely things that weren't packed up, like bigger items, stuff like that. And what they would do, again, is take these giant industrial cardboard bins on these pallet rollers, and they would just kind of throw stuff in there. So stuff was really...
I didn't see anything thrown. They placed it all in there.
But it was
very...
They
stacked it.
Stacked, yes. There would be like 2, 3, 4 boxes on top of each other, which there were definitely things on the bottom that were more precious items that could be easily broken, more fragile. So I haven't fully opened every box up yet, and I'm just waiting to see which items are damaged. Now, so far, so good. I haven't really, knock on wood, seen anything that's really been severely damaged.
And we brought over all the gear ourselves. Anything that was camera gear related,
like teleprompter stuff that was the glass, that kind of stuff that really easily could be broken, we brought over ourselves. But yeah, I'm waiting to open a box up and be like, oh, yep, there's the broken item.
Yep.
Now, with all the work they did, I will say one big thing that we debated on was tipping, because they really did bust their ass, and you were kind of going back and forth on how much you should tip each of them, and I think you were very generous.
The thing with tipping is, we all know we talk about hookers all the time and tipping hookers, which we do have a new chime in from a female yesterday. She chimed in and she's like, of course you tip your hooker. And she said she tips her weed person, which I don't agree. But anyway.
Speaking of that, because I brought up like, well, they're both illegal services. There's no taxing to them. So I feel like you shouldn't tip them as much as someone that's being taxed.
Oh, because they're making more money because they're not paying taxes on that money.
Exactly.
What if the hooker's paying taxes? Do you think
Why would she be paying taxes?
Do you think she has one of those back of house fees, 3% to the back of house?
I mean, maybe there's a pimp tax.
A pimp tax. Anyway, I know, like, I've always tipped moving people.
Yeah.
Always. That's one thing you do. You know they're not getting paid a lot. You slip them a $20. This was the debate. I had a couple of bucks in my pocket because I was prepared with tip money for like 4 or 5 people. And I was probably going to do like $40, $50, like something, which I think is still really good a person. Then when they had 10 people, I'm like, Steven, I don't have the cash in my pocket. I gotta go to my ATM machine, which I don't have an ATM card. So
tap Mac.
I had to tap the Mac. Yeah, I had to tap Mac, and I went and I got money, and I'm sitting there debating. Like at first, I'm like, I'd give him $50. Like $50 is a really good tip.
It is.
And then I'm like, but 100's even better.
Because yes.
And so. Like I talked to my dad, and my dad's like, "That's a lot of money. How? 50's good enough. 50, and you like 50's good, but if you want to do 100, that's even better." And like that was the thing. I'm like, but my dad says one thing. My brain is like, you know what? These guys busted their ass. No one complained. They got done in before it rained. They did it in under 4 hours. Everything looks to be in good shape. This is what my brain says. I think this is the right thing to do.
And keep in mind, a lot of the equipment went upstairs. And when I say upstairs, on the second floor. Or downstairs, but mainly upstairs, because upstairs, it's 2 flights of stairs to get upstairs. We're talking 20-foot ceilings in this place. So it's not just simply 13 steps. We're talking 26 plus steps at that point. That was the only time they kind of complained, and I don't blame them. Like they would come to me, they would look at me, and I would either point again up or down, and they were just hoping and praying that I just, pointed straight across to go straight through the first floor. And then every time I'd be like, second floor, they'd be like, which I don't blame them, because again, some of the stuff they were carrying up was crazy heavy.
Do you know what I should have done? I was thinking about this though during it. I was gonna break out the movie money, the big box of movie money, and put my money inside the big wad so it looks like I had more than just I had $1,000, right? So I literally handed each person $100 bill, and their eyes lit up with $100 bill, because I don't know that many people are going to be tipping $100.
How much was the overall move? Are you willing to say that?
Yeah, it was like
without the tip.
Without the tip, I think it ended up being under $2,000, maybe 18. No, it was like right around $2,000. Yeah. Which isn't bad, right? I think I think it was like $850, and then it was like $950 was the second half.
So you basically gave a 50% tip on top of the entire move.
I gave more than normal. Because to me, $20 didn't seem like enough. Even though $20 is good,
was reasonable, but 100 is going the next step. They would really appreciate you giving them $100. That goes a long way.
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking is I was like, $50 is $500. Mm-hmm. What's another $500? Do you know who I am? Well, that, and they kind of realized that I was a YouTuber at that point. So, you know how people do reviews of how people tip and shit.
Well, the one guy who again spoke broken English, I couldn't really understand him. He was trying to ask, like what our YouTube channel name was, and he was showing me his phone, and his entire phone is in Russian, and he's telling me to type it out on YouTube, and I'm like, dude, I can't read your Russian keypad. I'm sorry. And I showed him my phone and showed him the English version, and then he went and he's like, I'm going to be a new subscriber. He said it much differently, but that's what he meant to say.
I'm going to be a new subscriber. Good Russian accent, yeah.
And then I think he might have been looking for a job, because he's like, do you need, again, broken English, he was basically saying, do you need any coding or JavaScript or any kind of HTML work? And I'm like, no. He was saying that he used to be a professor in Russia teaching coding and stuff like that, and it was more like a freelance job, and that now in America he's moving, but he's trying to get back to that level. He was telling me his whole life story, and at the time I'm like, I'm sorry, man, I can't really talk to you right now. I'm trying to direct every other guy moving in this building.
Yeah,
but he was a really nice guy.
at the end of the day, handing everybody $100 bill was pretty nice. And I just felt like that's what my brain said was right. And they did a great job. And I didn't do the 8 hours. It would have been $2,000 or $3,000 if it was the 8 hours. And they didn't charge me more for the 10 people, which I'm glad they didn't attempt to do, because they didn't bring up that, hey, we're bringing 10 guys. Is this okay? They showed up. They charged me the same amount. They didn't bring the second truck. So I paid for a second truck.
What was it actually? 10 guys, or was it
10
more?
Total.
That was 10, including the foreman and everything, and the driver.
Yeah, it was 10 total.
Okay.
Yeah, I had $1,000 to hand out, and then Steven put his hand out, and I was like, "Take that, Steven."
I spent the entire week packing, but I get nothing extra.
Oh no, you did nothing extra. You get a job. Your job, Steven. I didn't get paid.
I will say, though, after all of this, the packing part sucked, but the unpacking part sucks even more, because now we have to figure out where things go, what's in every box. It's just a really royal pain in the
box.
What's in the box?
Who's not allowed to unpack?
Jared
Me.
is not allowed to unpack, because you will unpack and just throw shit wherever and call it a day and be like, oh, it looks fine.
Yeah.
So far, I've gotten, 3... I think I have 3 shelves built. And I put a lot of the main camera gear, the bodies, the lenses, that kind of stuff. And I made sure to ask you before I put anything on the shelf. I'm like, where exactly do you want this stuff? Because I know Jared, and I know you're going to be like, oh, I want it there. But then when I set everything up, you're going to be like, oh, no, I actually want it over there.
Well, so what I told you
is
it's
you only
can
going
set
up one time.
I'm like, I said, I may tell you it may be there right now, but maybe later I'll change my mind.
And I'm like, nope, that's not happening. It's now or never. Tell me where.
I haven't gone up there yet to look today.
I'm dreading it, because you're going to be like, I don't want to hear.
I'm going to have to get used to it. I got to feel it out. I mean, there's a lot that goes on to a move like this. This is a
monumental,
bigger space.
Epic.
Our goal is to put basically every set onto the second floor so that I have a livable floor on the first floor.
And the hardest thing is it's just me and you, really just me for the most part, unpacking and sorting everything out and organizing. Because again, I'd love to give you the task of helping me out, but I just feel like you're going to throw stuff everywhere, and you know it too. So it's not just me saying that.
Distracted. Oh, look, He-Man toys.
Yeah. You'll open a box and then 2 seconds later be on the phone and talking to somebody. And it's like, what? Jared, focus.
Yeah, that's what I do. That's what I do best. So we are in at the new space. We've gotten everything over that we needed to get over, and we're here. And it's I like it. I like the feel of the new space. I really do like the feel of it.
It's great.
Once it's fully set up, it's going to be even better, and that's going to take time. But the issue is, there's a big issue. Steven's leaving shortly on paternity leave, and there's a lot of work to get done in the meantime. We have some backlogs of videos that need to get edited that we've already shot in leading up to breaking everything down and moving.
Yep.
There's not much time. I mean, when is she due? When's LaQuanda due?
Well, so a quick update. We found out that she was breached about 2-3 weeks ago, and we expected a C-section at that point. And so the original due date of August 26th got moved up to August 22nd for a scheduled C-section. Well, just last week, we found out that she has flipped. So now we're back to the original due date of August 26th and basically playing it by ear. It's going to happen natural at that point. And yeah, so I have a couple extra days, but initially I thought I was going to be out a week prior, but now I have a few more days. But who knows? I still might not have a few days. She might be a week early. I don't know.
But hopefully if she doesn't need a C-section, the recovery should be not as bad.
Correct. Yeah. So it won't be as much of a recovery. It won't be a serious surgery. But at this point, I really have less than 2 weeks to go, or about 2 weeks. So we have a lot of stuff to do, because it's not only those videos, it's also finishing FroPack 4. Now, again, it's fully done on our end for the most part. We're waiting for the website to be done, the sales page. We got to update the FAQ section. I got to finish and finalize all the promotional videos, because it's not just a promotional video for FroPack 4. I have to re-export all of the videos for FroPack 1, 2, 3, all of those sales pages, to now update it with FroPack 4 as well, along with any type of ancillary content, any promotional content that we want to do. So that's one thing we got to get done. Again, there's some major projects and videos that we're working on in the meantime. And just the biggest thing is unpacking and organizing and getting sets set up, because we wanted to make sure, first and foremost, once we moved in, which was just 3 days ago, right? Mondays were like really like the first day of us like being in the building.
Yeah.
So it's only been about 3 days of unpacking, and I still feel like we barely got anything done. Biggest thing was getting your desk set up to film or to do Zoom calls or whatever it may be to record the podcast. We got that done. It's still not fully complete. We need to finish your shelving in the back and some other lighting and stuff like that. And then we wanted to also set up a makeshift Photo News Fix set for now, for the next, 2-3 weeks, or maybe even more. It might be longer, just until I get back.
Yeah. All I needed was the teleprompter set up and the lights and the cameras, and just we'll figure out the background later.
But you say all I need, it still takes quite some time to set that kind of stuff up. I mean, that was probably 2-3 hours.
I sat on my ass downstairs and was like, Steven, make this happen.
But I tried to make like a little bit of a moving background set so you can really tell that, we're in the middle of a move, and I'm hoping people aren't like, the other set was much better. Guys, this clearly isn't the final set. This is just a makeshift set for now. It'll get us by so Jared can still continue to do the news each week. But so that was the biggest thing we need to get done first. And then again, unpacking and organizing, which is just an insanely huge task. And I think it's going to take us weeks, man. I really do. There's so many boxes. There's so much gear. It's a lot for me, for just one person is what I'm saying. And then the other thing too, while unpacking and organizing, is this is the one opportunity, the one chance that we have to really clean equipment, shelves, that kind of stuff, all of the gear that we've been using for 7 years. And it literally has 7 years of caked on dust from sitting at the factory in one spot and really not really ever having a cleaning crew or anything come by to clean it off, because it is, it's important, expensive equipment that we don't really want anyone touching. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that just has caked on dust that I had to go through and clean off. And that takes some time. I mean, just cleaning the shelves, I think day 2, it took me like half a day to clean these 7 or 8 shelving units that each have 5 tiers of shelves, because I had to pretty much go over it twice because the layer of dust was so damn thick. I had to do an initial wipe and then a second sanitary wipe on top of that. It's a lot. It's a lot of little things like that you don't think about.
All right, let's move on from the moving on thing, and I want to quickly hit on FOMO. I have such bad FOMO with just about everything.
No.
Well, what happens is I might have 3 different things to choose from, and I end up doing none of them because they all overwhelm me with like, but if I don't do this and this happens, and what if I do this and that happens, and blah, 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 and I end up fucking doing nothing.
Well, what happens a lot is you're like, oh, I don't care, I'm not going to go. And then the event happens, and then you're like, man, I wish I went, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you said you didn't care. You didn't want to go.
Yeah, but if I went, I would have had I would have hated it. So I just know how it is.
But you still have severe FOMO from wanting to go, though, even though you would have hated it anyway.
Well, the thing is, with yesterday, I debated going to the Phillies game, but I debated going to the game just to go to the game without a camera, which if I did probably would have been more of a disappointment than what it turned out to be, because I would have been there for something but not had my camera. Turns out the pitcher ended up throwing a no-hitter yesterday, and I was fine. Like, I wasn't upset that I wasn't there. I just did think about going, but if I did go without my camera, I would have been actually upset that I wasn't there to photograph that. That would have pissed me off. It's just, I didn't have anything to test out, right? I had no other camera, so it would have just been me going. The other thing was, there were 2 other things that might have happened that night that I was planning on that didn't end up happening. So then I was left with nothing, because I was leaving the space open for these other things, which I should just be more fucking selfish and just go do my own goddamn thing and not worry about it. It was one was a dinner plan, one was another meeting type thing, and none of it materialized. And so, but I also got out of here late. I didn't get out of the studio till after 6. It was about 6:20. And so the game was going to start at 6:40. That's why I debated just getting in the car and going and hanging out, having dinner there, and just doing something different.
So at the end of the game, when the actual no-hitter happened, could you have ran on the field with all of the guys or no?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I don't
so
have
it's not like the World Series or the playoffs.
Like the World Series.
Gotcha.
No, and I saw a bunch of the pictures. The pictures that Miles took, Miles Kennedy, the Phillies photographer, he shoots with a Sony A1, and he has some presets that he's made on his phone that pump up the colors much better. And you'll notice this. If you go to the Phillies page on Instagram, you'll notice his images pop, and they kind of look like he throws Skittles on them or something similar, because he actually takes a minute to do that. There's a bunch of pictures that I saw that came from the news wires. I'm not going to name which ones, but there's only a few out there. But they're so freaking flat and not processed. It's just so upsetting that you see these images, and I know they want to get them out there quick, but it really doesn't take more than a split second to have a preset to just tweak the damn contrast and color just to get it to look good, and then you get it out and your images would stand out so much more. It just upsets me with sports images that people care more about getting it out there into the world than actually all they need to do is just add some freaking contrast and tweak the exposure and color. It takes 2 seconds.
Yeah.
2 seconds, man.
I mean, I am surprised they don't just really pump up their JPEG straight out of camera, just add a tick on the saturation, contrast, all that, make it a little more crunchier straight out of camera. Why not?
Yeah, but the problem is if they're just shooting JPEGs and they fuck it up, then they just want to have a flatter one that they could maybe clean up later.
But they don't clean it up later anyway.
No, they don't. And that's it gets frustrating. So I was trying to think about where I would have been standing if I was there and if I stayed that long. Because if I realized it was a no-hitter, I would probably have forced myself to stay because you're like, oh shit, it's a no-hitter. There's only been 14 no-hitters in the Phillies history. There's only been 4 no-hitters this year in Major League Baseball. And it ended up being an interesting game because Castellanos hit 2 home runs. The Phillies brought up a new player who in his very first at bat in the major leagues hit a home run. Yeah. Like it actually happened a year ago too with another Philly. It's just pretty amazing.
Did you see his family in the stands too?
It's just awesome to see the family
going
super
nuts. Emotional, yeah. First at bat, boom, home run.
Yep. So that was pretty cool. But in terms of FOMO, I get FOMO quite often. And then I just need to choose something, do it, and accept it. But then I'm like, but I could have done this, and I could have done that. And I worry, like, if I don't go to yoga today, I won't meet that hot girl. And then I go to yoga, and I don't meet that hot girl. And it's just because there was none.
And I think you're not the only one that goes through this. I think we all go through this, and
then I harp on it because I'm I think part of I don't think I'm on the spectrum. Possibly, maybe not, but I don't know. There's a thing that
you hyper focused on certain things for sure.
Yeah, well, I get stuck in a harp loop, not a rut, a loop. I get stuck in this loop, and I have to get out of the loop, and I recognize it. One of the things that gets me stuck in a loop even more is other people trying to talk to me about it. Because then then I start to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I internalize it because I know that if I do start talking about it, I don't want to talk about it because it's going to sound like complaining. I already know what I need to do. I don't need to talk about it. Shut the fuck up.
You'll send me texts about some of this kind of stuff, like this morning or last night when you were texting me about the no-hitter and wishing you were there and all of that. And I try to just kind of not go to town on you, like, oh, you should have been there, why didn't you go, blah blah blah, because I know it's just going to hurt you more internally. So I'll just respond with like, yeah, cool, no big deal, no biggie, like, just because I don't want to, I know it's going to just frustrate you even more if I'm starting to go to town or being like, you should have went, why didn't you go, blah blah blah. Now granted, there's definitely times where I do that, but for the most part I try, and I know how it's going to affect you.
Yeah, but I know I just need to get past things and I get over them, and
I try not to bring it up. I try to wait for you to bring something up like that because I know you don't really want to talk about it, like you said.
So was walking, yes, I'm going to move on from the FOMO because I went to dinner last night and I didn't realize it was a no-hitter until I was sitting there and I started to get texts from people at dinner. They're like, are you at the game tonight? And I'm like, what? Well, no. And then I looked at the score. I'm like, all right, they won 7-0. And then I was like, oh shit, the guy threw a no-hitter. And then I was like, damn it.
And I'm sure that threw off your entire dinner if I had to guess.
It didn't. I was fine.
Oh, you weren't in a loop at that point?
No. I already did. I was like, I mean, it's fine. It's not a big deal. I wasn't going to go. And if I did go, the other saving grace was I was going to go without a camera and I would have been even more fucking pissed off. But on the way home, I'm walking past this new place that's going to be an art gallery. And my friend, she points out a chair. The chair is a hair pick chair. And she's like, you need that. I'm like, motherfucker.
It's like the royal throne, the fro throne.
Well, then I'm like,
that's funny. You should get that. Could be
a cool chair. Yeah, but I have an email here which I didn't open yet because I asked how much it is. And it's like a, like modern art type shit. How much do you think this fucking chair is going to be?
15-20 grand.
Oh, really? You're going that high? I'm gonna say they might want like $7,000 for it, and I just can't. I'm not gonna do that. That's just stupid.
I mean, is it a one-off piece? Right? It's an art piece.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm not a collector.
And keep in mind though, too, if you're looking to use this on a set or something like that, you're probably not even going to be able to tell on camera that it's an actual pic the way you sit in it. You know what I mean?
It's a write-off, Steven.
Now, for your house, that's a pretty cool thing. But if you're trying to use it for like a set piece, it might not really turn out well on camera.
I literally would use it for a portrait shoot of me.
Cool.
Where I would sit forward, like backwards on it, so that the back, the hair pick part stands out.
It'd have to be kind of like profile, maybe like a 45-degree angle. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, on a little bit, but I would be leaning over the back.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have the email here. I'm gonna should I read it? Oh God. Oh, come on. Don't tell me shit like this. Okay, I'm going to read you this. This is bullshit. This is this fine art, artsy, fartsy fucking bullshit. I haven't even gotten to it yet.
Artsy, fartsy stuff that you always buy.
No, I heard a word. There's a word in here. Oh, this is going to be aspires to change the world's perception. Okay, hold on. It's a pleasure to connect with you.
It's a friggin' pick chair. Are you serious?
Yeah. But it's going to go deeper. Thank you for your interest in works by Jomo Taruku. I believe this is an African work chair. He's an African, and it's African art. I've included, which reminds me of Axel Foley from what's that movie? What was that? Axel Foley. I
don't know why I'm blanking. I know
Not
that
Kindergarten
name.
Cop. What was it called? And everybody's yelling at us right now. Can you Google that? Axel Foley. Eddie Murphy.
Beverly Hills Cop or something?
Yes, Beverly Hills Cop. So Beverly Hills Cop, when he goes to the art store and it's the African masks, and Cousin Balky is like, he's like, how much is this mask? He's like, have you, Axel Foley's like, have you sold any of these masks? He's like, I sold 2 yesterday. And he's like, get the fuck out of here. He's like, no, I won't get the fuck out of here. Anyway, they were African masks. That's what it reminds me of. My brain. That's in my brain. Thank you. I've included tear sheets of Mido chair and some recent press for your review. Jomo aspires to change the world's perception of African design. His works has recently been acquired by the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Fuck. This thing's going to be too expensive.
Told you.
Acquired by the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, and has been celebrated in such publications as Architects Digest, Dwell, and the New York Times. 5 of Jomo's unique designs were also featured in Marvel Studios' Black Panther Wakanda Forever. This is a chair that Questlove probably owns.
Exactly. This is a one-of-a-kind piece, right?
Yeah, I'm still reading. I haven't gotten to this. If it's this much
this
explanation,
price is going way up now.
This price keeps going up, higher and higher.
I'm going to say 50 to 100 grand now.
Oh, Jesus Christ! It's going to be 20 grand, Stephen. The Mido chair design unites the rich history of the afro comb with the African. Can it be a Jew comb too? Like, I mean, I have an afro. The afro comb with the African tradition of ceremonial seat signifying leadership, unity, and kingship. The afro comb is an enduring icon of the black experience, perfect for me, hearkening to at least 6,000 years back in Sudan. From the Black Power and Black is Beautiful movements to Jared Polin Frono's photo having an afro and racially appropriating hair. No, it doesn't say that. Movements to rites of passage into adulthood in many African cultures. The afro comb is a symbol of beauty, status, and vigor. At least we're learning something here. The Mido chair is in the permanent collection of the Metropolitan Museum of Art at the Philadelphia Museum of Art.
Oh, permanent collection.
But wait a second.
So it's not for sale.
So it's not for sale. I'd like to invite you to view the iconic work in gallery. I spoke to Jomo and thought though he can't be here in person, he would be delighted to FaceTime with you and discuss the work. If that interests you, please let me know. Best work for you. I would be thrilled to take it off the market immediately. Oh shit. Jomo is a rising star gaining prominence. The design world and his market is hot right now. We sold out of his works at Design Miami last year. If you have any additional questions, how fucking much is it? Here's a PDF. It's a beautiful chair, Stephen.
Oh, this is the first time seeing it. It's literally a fro pick. That's so funny.
Questlove definitely owns this. How much? How much? Holy fuck!
Hold on.
Holy fuck!
Was I
Jesus
close
fucking
at all?
fuck!
How much?
Jesus fucking Jesus fuck! Jesus Christ!
How much?
Fuck you, Stephen! Holy fuck!
How much?
I'm not buying this chair. It's a beautiful chair.
Just sell one of your 17 houses.
You have to sell a Porsche, Stephen.
How much? Are we talking like 200 grand?
$60,000.
Yep. Art piece. There you go.
Fuck you. Not you, Jomo. This is great work. I can afford it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not spending $60,000 on an afro pick chair. Can I get the IKEA version?
You'll spend days putting it together. How do you think they make up these numbers? Do you think that just out of thin air, they're like, hey, 60 grand, that sounds like a good number? Or do you think they're like, hey, we used 40 grand worth of supplies to make this chair.
No,
that's why it's going to be 60 grand.
How
do they make it?
It's fine art. It's fine art. So what happens is you start to build a name. So like
I know
Obama
how it works,
buys a
but it's
chair.
just like, do they just like, 60 grand sounds good?
Yeah. Questlove could buy this chair. I'm not buying this chair. And now I have FOMO that I should buy this chair.
Man.
I'm not buying this chair for $60,000 fucking dollars. Hey, I appreciate your reply. If it was like $7,000, $5,000, maybe I would consider it.
Yeah.
But $60,000, I'm not going to be doing that. And how the fuck are you going to be in business in Fishtown? Well, that's because Jesus Christ, man. This is the thing with fine art. It's just you make up a price.
That's what I'm saying.
You just make it up.
Literally like, 60 grand. Why not?
$60,000. You're gonna have to sell a lot of presets. Should we start a GoFundMe to buy this chair for me? No, because I don't want you guys to spend $60,000. But look, if we got 1,000 people to give us $60 each,
if I sell my one Porsche, if I do
nothing,
this,
if I gave you all like a personal video that I record once and then send it to you and say thank you for helping me buy this chair, I'm not a collector. I don't have that. I mean, I can afford it. I'm not going to do it. That's not a good use of money. Like, because then you have to sell it. It's like it goes up in value. Like a Basquiat. You could probably have bought a Basquiat in 1980. I don't know when, for like $60,000 when he was alive. And now Basquiats are selling for $200 million.
Insane. Absolutely
it's a beautiful
insane.
chair. It is one hell of a beautiful looking. I mean, Steven, could you just look at that chair?
That really would be perfect for you. Oh, that's so
Maybe
funny.
they'll let me do a photo shoot on it. Maybe I could do a portrait on it and we can promote it.
That'd be kind of cool, yeah.
I mean, look at the back of it. This is just a chair that Questlove will buy. Mm-hmm. This is not a chair for me.
Yeah.
Like, I can't.
Battle of the Fro picks. Who's going to get
$60,000. We'd love to get on a call. Yeah, of course you would love to get on a call, but not for $60,000.
I'm telling you, the way that email was written out, it seems like you're like a reviewer of some sort. That's kind of what they're making it seem like.
Well, there's more here. Maybe there's a less expensive version.
How did you reach out to them? What did you say exactly in your initial email?
Hi, I have an afro. I want this chair. No, it was.
Knowing you probably did say those exact words.
I didn't.
Your emails are very blunt.
My emails are very blunt.
I want chair. How much?
Yeah. How much is your chair?
That was one of the Russian guys emailing.
Hold on. Maybe I'll hit on this girl. Her name's Samantha Goldberg. I knew a Samantha Goldberg once.
Sounds like one of your people.
Well, let me Google this. I want to see if I can be like, oh, hey, Samantha, how are you? Oh, she's an actress. This is a different actress. Let me see. I'm doing this. This is what men do. Actually, women do it too. Did you know that?
What?
Like Google people? To see who they are.
I think women do it much worse than men do it. I think women are great at stalking and figuring out a man's entire past.
Yeah. Well, she went very detailed. You know, if you go super detailed into an email, that it's definitely. Oh, that's a cool picture of the artist, though you can't see it. Finally, a seat at the table. How a recent push for diversity in design is changing the way the world works. I can't imagine. I'm going to send this over to Bedia.
Do you think this chair changed the world, Jared?
This chair is going to change the world, Steven.
Yeah,
actually, what I would honestly rather do, now that I see this guy, why don't I just go to his goddamn studio and photograph him working and trade him for the fucking chair? That's where my brain goes.
Day in life photo shoot worth 60 grand. It's an even trade.
Yeah, trade. Yeah, no, I think this is exactly what this chair is worth. Not. I'm not going to say worth. I'm going to say that's what.
If they value art that much, why not? You know, throw them a bone and be like, hey, let's trade.
I'm going
at least for like a photo shoot. Like that'd be really cool if you could do a self portrait of some sort in that chair.
Well, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
I would do. So I'm gonna pitch them something. I'm not buying this chair. It's a beautiful chair. It's just not for me. But this guy's studio is probably awesome. So I would like to know where his studio is. In David Bonham photo by a guy named Jared Soros. I know this is really exciting, guys, but my photos are going to be better, Jared. I'm just going to say Jared's photos are going to be better because you should have gone to Jared.
I want to visually explain what this chair looks like. Just imagine a pick kind of bent in half and then coming back down the front with the actual prongs of the pick itself
being the feet.
That's what this thing kind of looks like.
I'm gonna post it. I posted it last night, a picture, but I guess we'll have to. I'll post a photo story. A story on it. Actually, so I'm gonna do that. That's gonna be my angle. I'm not giving you 30. I'm not gonna pay $60,000. I'm not saying it's not worth it. To me, it's not worth it. Okay, I got that out of the way. I can't. But I wanted to read that on the air when the email came in to be like, I didn't think it was gonna be a $60,000 chair.
I knew it was gonna be up there. I didn't think it was gonna be that much.
I'd be like, thank you, but I'm not able to do this. But on the flip side, can we do a photo shoot in the chair with me one day? Because I would love to do a black and white self-portrait. We'll promote the chair. And then you know what? Let's get on the call with the designer and see if I can go do a photo story on him. Because here's all the other stuff I've done. Do you know Bernie? Do you know Bernie? I photographed Bernie.
You just got to say, do you know who I am?
Do you know? I command 60,000. You know what? This is a fair trade. I do photos and you give me fucking hair pick
photo
chair.
shoot, $60,000 chair, even trade,
Holy
right?
Holy shit. Jesus, Steven. That threw me for a freaking loop.
Wow. Are you going to harp on this now?
I'm already harping on it.
There you go.
We just started to harp on it. Because then I got to call my friend to tell her how much it is, and I got to redo the whole same story. I got to recount it the same way. Well, let's move on to that SanDisk issue thing that we want to talk about.
Time.
Petapixel put out an article yesterday about the SanDisk. What are these things called?
The SSD Extreme 2 terabyte drives that we actually did a video on.
I have a 4 terabyte. We got their 8 terabyte one that you used as the external drive. We did a sponsored video for them probably a year ago, promoting, maybe even less than a year ago. It was probably a year ago, promoting these things. A sponsored video. So it's a product showcase, meaning they paid us. We don't call it a review. We just show you what a product can do and talk about it. And I'm just going to say from here on out, and we've been very good with this when it comes to memory cards. We're not reviewing memory cards because I don't know how you review a memory card other than does it meet the speeds that they suggest? Because you can't review something and suggest someone buys it when it needs to be an actual
unless
more long-term
you do a long-term 1 year later type of review. There's really no way you can do an initial review and be like, yeah, this memory card's great. It's going to last you forever. Like, how do you know that? You really don't unless you tried it out for a year straight.
And my reasoning with doing the SanDisk thing and recommending an SSD like this came because it's a reputable company. SanDisk, Western Digital bought them. And you're like, this is going to be good. And then we started to hear issues from people where the drives would just die, right? You would lose all your data and there was nothing you could do to get it back.
Which at the time, we did not actually witness ourselves until...
Not with the small drive.
Until my actual desktop drive, my 8 terabyte. It's the SanDisk Professional 8 terabyte G Drive Pro Studio SSD, which I believe was almost $2,000.
It was like $1,800 when it came out. How much is it now?
And now it's half price. It's almost half price. It's $999. It's $1,000. And yeah, so I had a lot of, that was my working drive. Let's just say that. I have my giant 12 big lacy tower that I use for my archive drive. I pretty much store everything on there. That's like RAID 5, redundant backup. So if any drive fails, which it has before, by the way, it will completely rebuild the drive and everything is fine. So far that's been great. And then this was my actual working drive. So I would actually do my current project, work off that, and then transfer the project to the archive drive once it's finished. And I would only usually keep 1, 2, maybe 3 projects at a time on this drive. The reason I never edited off of SSD before is because you can only get like a 2 terabyte SSD at most, and most of our projects were anywhere from 1, almost 2 terabytes. So it was hard to edit a project on that when it would pretty much fill up the entire drive. Now with this being 8 terabytes, I thought that was a great opportunity to actually use an SSD for a working drive, and typically SSDs last much longer than a spinning hard drive.
There's no moving parts.
There's no moving parts, exactly. Well, it was the complete opposite for us. I had it for less than a year, and it completely died. Thankfully, I had everything backed up on both Dropbox and on my desktop, and I still had the original memory cards, which I never wipe or format until the actual project is completed, uploaded, and posted on YouTube. I lost a bunch of Fronos photo assets. They're backed up, but they were really well organized on this drive, so I still to this day have to reorganize them. They're kind of all over the place and jumbled, but I've been getting by with how I have it set up right now. But it's been quite a nightmare. We actually sent it in to get it repaired.
Well, SanDisk stood behind it. They had to send it to the reputable place to try and recover the data.
They had it for an entire month, and I was emailing with them back and forth weekly, and they kept saying they were trying to fix it. The thing that blows my mind is they say they can recover like drives that have been burned up in fires and stuff like that, yet this drive that just happened to die, they couldn't fix. So a month later, they were like, hey, we couldn't fix it. They sent it back. I still have the original drive actually sitting next to me, and then SanDisk replaced it with a brand new same drive, which I still have yet to use because I'm scared to use it because of what happened. And again, this just happened out of nowhere. I turned on my computer and it wouldn't show up. It said I had to format the drive. And
I've heard stories from a bunch of people that the smaller SSDs, they stored a bunch of stuff and then it died on them. And that's not a good thing. That's not a good place to be. And I've reached out to SanDisk to get some more information, and I haven't heard anything back because I'm like, look, if I'm going to be promoting a product, right, and you're not standing behind it, or there's major issues and you're not acknowledging them, that makes me look fucking bad.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's not happening. Like, I'm not doing it again.
Yeah, I mean, we did that sponsored video because at the time we never had any issues. And I will say to this day, knock on wood, we still haven't had any issues with the small 4 terabyte SSD Extreme drives. But again,
I'm using them now.
We've heard several people talk about them having, people right?
People I know personally, multiple people.
So we've heard a lot of issues, and I think they did put out a firmware update supposedly fixing it. I don't know if it has fixed it. They do have a new version that they're now selling, and all of the drives now, I believe, are more than half off price-wise, so they're just trying to dump their entire current inventory and start fresh. But clearly, the controllers in these drives are just not
doing
good.
Something right.
Yeah.
And someone told me something that it has to do with drivers, and it has to do with just how SSDs work, but I don't know that I've heard the issues with the Samsung stuff, the Samsung ones.
I heard it's mainly with Macs that it's happening because the way they have these drivers set up, it's supposed to be constantly writing files back and forth or something, and the new Mac OS messed that up, and that's why these drives are dying. Because I heard there's no issues when it comes to PC, but that's what I've just heard.
So I wonder, and that makes it difficult to know, is it a SanDisk issue? Is it a drive issue? What is it? Is it an operating system?
Yeah.
Right. And is that something that should have been fixed and acknowledged and patched, and they should have been like, look, we have a fix, or don't use these. This is a problem. Have a recall, or what?
And back to the drive I was using, the reason I really wanted to use it as a working drive is because it was pretty much just as fast as my internal laptop drive. It was read speeds of up to 2,600 megabytes per second. It was Thunderbolt 3, dual Thunderbolt 3 ports. I mean, this thing was blazing fast. I would transfer half a terabyte onto it, and it would be like 2 minutes to transfer. So much better and faster than editing off something like my archive drive, which is a Thunderbolt 3 drive, but since it's RAID 5, it's only maybe 1,000 megabytes per second read speed, if that. So it would slow down in Premiere for sure.
Yeah. Moral of the story, you got to be careful with the drives. Back things up. Don't just have 4 terabytes stored on there. If you're going to do it, have 2. So when I've been traveling, I would have it in at least 2 places: memory cards and the external drive, or 2 of these external drives.
And like you just said, it doesn't happen with just these drives. It happens with memory cards as well. So make sure you're always shooting redundant. Have 2 cards at all times in your camera, whether you're doing video or photo. I still think Nikon really needs to get on that with doing dual video recording. I always make sure I do not touch or format those cards and use it for a new project until the current project and the current files that are on that card are fully done with and uploaded and exported and out into the world.
Yeah.
And that saved me here because I really needed to find those original files, and thankfully I did, and we didn't lose anything. But it scared the shit out of me, I'll tell you that, the day I found out that it was dead.
Yeah, it did. But luckily, knock on wood, most of it is fine.
I think the message I got specifically was that I had to initialize the disk, which initializing basically is reformatting it. And I did not want to do it. I wanted to send it to the pros. And
have you tried that yet?
Even the pros couldn't fix it. No, because now they just pretty much destroyed it. It won't even turn on or plug in or do anything. Yeah.
Oh, then let's take it apart. I want to see what's inside.
Yeah, they had to manually go in and basically rip it apart. And they said the automated tools that normally find the issue and fix it wouldn't work. So they had to go in there manually. And that's why it took them a month to try and fix it. And they still couldn't recover anything.
That's just insane.
And we've tried all the backup recovery programs too. Actually, before I sent it in, I tried all the backup programs and that just didn't work either.
All right. Yeah. I mean, the moral of the story is back up your stuff as many times as you can in multiple places. Don't rely on one set of drives. I'll wait to get some feedback because I just emailed SanDisk again to see if they had any more information, and I'm still not getting a reply back. And I don't know why. Maybe that person's on vacation, or maybe they're not there anymore, which tends to sometimes happen. But for us, from a review standpoint, I'm not. You have seen it. You never really see us review a memory card. We'll talk about memory cards, but it's just something that you got to use long term. And it's just hard. How do you review that shit? Because shit can happen. Like, how do you know that something, you just don't. You just got to be careful when we take on things to review that it just makes sense. And I think most of the things that we do make sense. I thought these little hard drives made sense because I expected that SanDisk, being a reputable, really reputable company, you wouldn't run into issues. But there are issues.
It makes you question, are their memory cards affected as well?
Yeah, I think their memory cards are fine. That's something super long term. But who knows what with new technologies, if things are changing and these things need firmwares that didn't exist in the past. I found the phone number, Steven.
Oh.
You guys want to text us about Afro chairs? It's 313-710-927. Sorry, I fucked that up. Let me do that again. Don't delete it. It's 313-710-9729. I got all numeralexic on that one.
Dyslexic?
No, it's numeralexic. Dyslexic is words, and there's a different name for number lexic.
Oh.
313-710-9729. That is the phone number to text. If you think we should do a GoFundMe to buy this chair, then the answer is we're not going to buy this chair. I mean, I'm just not going to take $60,000 and buy a chair. I don't care if it goes up in value. That's not a place I want to put money. But that's fine art for you. It's like this guy could get super popular because people might buy it that are major collectors, and then when a major collector puts their name,
exactly.
Like, I own this, it's in their collection, then every other rich person is like, I need to have one of those.
All you need is one good sale to a major collector, and you're set. You are good to go. You made a name for yourself, and then you can just make up random freaking numbers, insane numbers.
And do you sit in the chair? When you buy a $60,000 chair, do you sit in it? Do you have sex in it? What do you do to it?
It's an art piece. I doubt you sit or do anything with it.
Do you let your cat sit on it?
You just look at it, Jared. Just look at it.
Just look at it?
Yeah.
Oh, will you look at that?
As our buddy Ed Bassmaster likes to say.
I will not look at it. It's a beautiful chair, though. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to see if I can do a photo shoot of the guy making a chair, and I'm going to give him photos that are worth upwards of $60,000.
Yeah. I mean, just one picture, $60,000. Right.
I mean but see, that's the same thing with photography. What's the difference between a photographer getting paid $100,000 and a photographer getting paid $100?
It's the same thing.
They asked for $100,000 and they got it. That's the difference.
Can you get it or not is the question.
You get what you if you can get it, that's what you can get paid. And then from there, the sky's the limit, man.
Yeah, it really is.
I got to get to work, Steven, on other stuff. We're gonna wrap it up there.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough few weeks for us, maybe even months, because there's going to be a lot of unpacking, a lot of sets to set up, me going away, having a baby, a lot going on right now. So we'll see how the podcast goes over the next few weeks.
All right, Steven. Thank you guys very much for listening. This is episode number 63. Hopefully it sounds better than my episode, which then Steven corrected. All right. Jared, Polin Frono's Photo. First one over here at thenewplace.com. See ya.